Chase Briscoe finally gets his revenge, and NASCAR President Steve Phelps drops some hints about potential future playoff format changes. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Can you let me at least finish the intro, please? Sorry, y'all. My name is Eric. Welcome to... We know the 8 is back. We've seen it. We get it. Gosh, my name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Yes, yesterday, in case you somehow missed it, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has brought back his classic number 8. It will appear on Sammy Smith's Xfinity Series Chevrolet. Today, we got a paint scheme reveal. Ooh, okay. I like it. Kind of weird to see a pilot car without any yellow, and I thought there'd be a little more red, but I get it. You don't want to muddy up the sacred Budweiser branding. This has its own feel, kind of an old school vibe. It's good. I like it. Junior Nation, let me know how you're feeling seeing the iconic 8 on a modern NASCAR race car. Ooh. Also, Hendrick Motorsports just unveiled Chase Elliott's Napa Auto Parts scheme for 2025. Looks good. Not too different from his 2024 scheme, which I really liked. Looks like they changed those white accent lines to yellow, and the arrow thing on the door looks a little different. This looks good. Clean, recognizable, sharp. I like it. Let me know down in the comments which paint scheme you prefer. Breaking news from reporter Chase Briscoe. Christopher Bell is returning to the Chili Bowl Nationals next month. Nothing sweeter than good old-fashioned revenge. Christopher Bell confirmed the news shortly thereafter. After 2 years away, Christopher Bell is back to play in the Tulsa Clay. Ooh, where did that come from? What the heck? Bell is a 3-time Chili Bowl Nationals winner. He's from nearby Norman, Oklahoma. This is a very special event to him. I can't wait to watch. Gonna be exciting. Lots of NASCAR names signed up to participate. Bell, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, JJ Yaley. I think there are some others too. I can't wait. Thank you, Coach Gibbs, for finally allowing your drivers to go stretch their legs a little. All it took was his grandson getting to the Cup Series. Jeff Gluck reported on this about a month ago. Joe Gibbs told The Athletic, quote, "We sort of talked things over to come up with a process by which they, the drivers, can request to run certain races. If they get approval from everyone they need to on our competition side, then they're able to run the race. That includes dirt, but also potentially other forms of racing." That was welcome news for Christopher Bell, especially glad to see him taking full advantage of it. Not to bring up a nearly 2-year-old debate or discussion, but we've seen both the positives and the potential consequences of racing outside of NASCAR. Kyle Larson drove everything he could. 2020, 2021, he won in everything he drove. Sprint cars, dirt late models, you name it. Simultaneously, he put together one of the greatest NASCAR Cup Series seasons of the modern era. Dirt racing was his outlet, kept him fresh, kept his senses sharp, made him better. That's the positive side, but we've seen the negative consequences as well. 2023. Alex Bowman injures his back in a sprint car crash, misses a few cup races, and then once he came back, he just was not the same. I'd argue Alex Bowman's 2023 season was ended early because of that sprint car crash. So there's a potential reward. There's also a potential risk. I get why an owner like Joe Gibbs would be very sensitive to his drivers racing other series. The team has a lot of money invested in these drivers. That's a great risk, but I like the compromise Joe Gibbs seems to have found. I'd like to think that if I was a NASCAR Cup Series team owner, I would have a similar policy. An event like the Chili Bowl, sure, can be dangerous. I mean, I think they have a sponsored flip counter on the broadcast all week. But it's also such a huge event, a great way to engage with hardcore grassroots race fans. It doesn't interfere with the NASCAR schedule in any way. These kinds of events are no-brainers, in my opinion. So I'm glad Christopher Bell is being allowed to participate, almost being encouraged to participate. I think that's a great change. I think the balance Joe Gibbs is striking is a good one. Not every driver needs to be running every kind of race all week long during the season, but big events like the Chili Bowl, if you want to go do it, especially when you're a 3-time winner like Christopher Bell. He knows what he's doing. He's not going into something unprepared. He's not in over his head like This is what he grew up doing. This is Christopher Bell. Glad he's getting to race in it. Excited to watch the Chili Bowl. It's mid-January. I don't know the exact dates off the top of my head, but excited to watch. Should be fun. Moving on. When NASCAR President Steve Phelps talks, a lot of fans tune out. And I don't blame him. Phelps usually hits on the same few talking points. The racing is super competitive. The playoffs are great. The ratings are good. We're close to adding a fourth manufacturer. Just trust me, bro. He is the president of NASCAR, so of course he's good at being politically correct. He knows how to circumvent the tough questions, the difficult topics, and as a fan listening, that can be frustrating. I still enjoy hearing him talk, though, because he'll often drop hints that give us at least some insight into what the sanctioning body may actually be thinking. The Athletic recently sat down with Steve Phelps. They published the interview today. I'll put a link down below. Encourage you to go check it out. We're just going to touch on a part of it here in this episode. In this interview, he does hit on a lot of those talking points I just mentioned. He credits Goodyear for helping improve short track racing this season. He also said that 2024 was inarguably the best racing NASCAR has ever had, to which I'd say there's certainly room to argue, but 2024 did see some great racing, some very close, competitive, dramatic finishes. I'll give him that. Phelps praises the charter system, of course, and also went out of his way to compliment 2311 Racing, which I found kind of interesting. His exact quote was, "It's pretty cool that 2311 competed for a championship so soon in their life cycle of being a race team." He didn't have to say that, but he did. Anyways, Phelps also touched on the playoff format, and this is where I think he dropped a couple of interesting hints. First, he defended Joey Logano's championship run and partially explained why the current format is the way that it is. Phelps said, quote, "Win and you're in is really what we heard from fans, and that's what the industry came up with when they came up with this format. Joey performed. He went to Vegas and won, and then went to Phoenix and won. So to me, he's a deserving champion. He ran the gauntlet of a very difficult and arguably the most difficult playoffs in all sports, and he is a deserving champion because of that." Win and you're into the playoffs, broadly speaking, only became a thing 11 years ago. So did win in advance through the rounds. 8 years ago is when playoff points were created. 5 additional bonus points for winning that can be used in the final 10 races. Well, really the final 9. 9 of the final 10. All changes that have been made in the past decade or so to reward race wins more than they had been rewarded previously. And Phelps says there they did that because they heard from fans. Wins should mean more. But what we don't know is how many fans truly want winning to be rewarded in such a way. Like, I believe that many fans like winning you're in. Many fans want winning to matter late in the season. That is 100% true, but what's the percentage? How many fans feel that way? I get that a lot of fans didn't like hearing drivers say, "Hey, we had a good points day," but in my opinion at least, that shouldn't mean points racing should die out completely, and it obviously hasn't. William Byron pointed his way into the championship for, didn't win any playoff races. But points racing is far less of a priority now than it was 10 plus years ago. That's just fact. Have we swung the pendulum too far away from points racing? That's the argument. That's the debate to be had. And Phelps not really taking that on here. Just saying, hey, fans wanted winning to be rewarded. We did that. Why are people complaining now? It's because you're never going to create a one-size-fits-all format that everyone can get behind. That's just not realistic. Phelps does admit in this interview once again that tweaks could be made to the Cup Series playoff format before the start of the 2025 season. Steve Phelps says, quote, "We are going to look at it, and that will be an industry-wide decision, just like the existing format is. So we'll get a cross-functional team consisting of drivers, teams, NASCAR folks, and sit in a room and see if there's something better." Oh man, I so badly want to be in that room. Gosh. Does anyone have an extra ticket laying around? Please? Please? Seriously, gosh, I would love to hear what they discuss. Phelps did go on to mention that certain teams, drivers may have conflicting interests, so it's always important to factor that in, and he's exactly right. Obviously, Team Penske, and this is me saying this, not Steve Phelps, probably likes the current format as is. They've cracked the code. They've figured it out 3 in a row. So you do have to factor in that bias. Phelps didn't mention TV as part of that group, unless maybe they're part of the NASCAR folks, as he calls it. You gotta believe any playoff format changes will be run by NBC first, right? Like, they will get a say on how NASCAR crowns its championship. Television has always had that kind of pull, or at least as long as they've been signing billion-dollar TV contracts, they've had that kind of pull. Anyway, those are just some of the hints that I guess I found interesting in this interview with The Athletic. My takeaway is that winning you're in, win in advance, probably not going anywhere next year. My question for all of you watching is, how much emphasis should we put on points racing going forward? Like, and I don't mean to put him on blast, Steve Letarte a few weeks back suggested a playoff format that only included winners. To get in the playoffs, you win a race. You don't win a race, you're not in. Doesn't matter if you're 3rd in points, 23rd in points, you have to win to qualify. And all due respect to Steve Letarte, I despise that idea. I don't want points racing to mean nothing. Winning should pay better and award more points than any other finishing position, obviously, but it shouldn't be the end-all be-all. Growing up, I enjoyed when my guy finished 5th. Sure, I wanted them to win, but a 5th place finish in June, July, August, not bad. String a few top 5s together, hey, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like the pendulum has shifted a little too far towards win at all cost. Points racing should still have a strong place in stock car racing. That's why my proposed playoff fix gets rid of the regular season win and you're in and just rewards the top 16 in points. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think the pendulum has shifted too far in the direction of win at all costs? Is the good points day all but dead? Should we switch the pendulum back a little bit more, find a healthier balance? What's your opinion? You kind of heard mine. I'm excited to read the comments on this one. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more NASCAR discussion every single day here on Out of the Groove, even during the off season. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. Again, if you want to read the full interview with Steve Phelps, head to The Athletic. Link is down in the description below. Lots of details there that I did not cover in this episode. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, y'all. I will talk to you again very soon.